Hello, succeeders. This is Stacy Barlow Hill, your leadership and lifestyle coach, helping you to become the very best version of yourself and lead successfully. Today, it is our Tuesday talk, and I'm excited today because I will be completely honest with you. I did not know what I was going to talk about today. I am the type of person that is really led by the spirit, and I can plan and plan as much as I want to, but if I don't feel led to deliver that message today, then it's impossible for me to do that. I have to feel led to speak on what I speak on. And this morning I was reading, I've been reading this book. It's called Love Without End, Jesus Speaks. It's like 400 pages. It's super thick. I'm a little over halfway through it. But the book is about, it's by Glenda Green. She's an artist. And the book is her experience. She says that Jesus came to her while she was painting these pictures of Jesus, and he kind of sat with her and kind of further explained some of the scriptures of the Bible and gave more context to them, and just this experience that she had with him. And whether you believe it happened or not, it's a beautiful book, and it really helps provide um, some other ways of thinking, especially things of the Bible that you may have some trouble processing as times change and the world changes. Sometimes we get stuck on taking these scriptures, so literal. And This book is really about evolving, and that at the core of everything is love. But it's a really good book. You should definitely read it. Whether you believe this really happened to this lady or not, it still provides just a deeper train of thought, and really provides you another way of looking at a lot of things. But today I was reading the chapter where he's kind of discussing about the 10 commandments, and kind of the thought process behind them and what was going on. So he's talking about Moses in this chapter that I'm in. And it begins with saying, "How liberated is anyone who has no place to go?" How liberated is anyone who has no place to go? Let that sit for a minute, right? How liberated can you be if you don't know where you're going, if you're not free, if you don't have anywhere to go? It goes on to say that Moses had enough responsibility and wisdom to realize that a man is not free until he has a place in which to be and a purpose in being there. This is why he kept the Hebrews in the desert for 40 years. It was necessary for them to pass through two generations and to acquire a whole new rank of elders who knew nothing of slavery. Only a free people could build a new nation. Only a free people could build a new nation. That's the topic of this talk today. If they had proceeded directly from enforced servitude to their new homeland, nothing would have been gained. Now, there's several meanings that could be applied to this. Moses left these slaves in the wilderness for 40 years. And sometimes when we read the Bible and we look on this part, we think, wow, that's a long year. They must have been, I mean, that's a long time. They must have been sinning. They couldn't get it together. Why were they there so long? But looking at it from this perspective makes so much sense. Moses couldn't let these people leave here because the same thing would have happened again. They were in a slave mentality. They knew nothing but being servants. They had no sense of self identity, and were not ready to be leaders because they had been oppressed for so many years and they were living in bondage. So to give them instant freedom wasn't going to help them. It was only going to hurt them because of the mindset that they were in, right? They were in this mindset of bondage, and of being slaves, and being controlled. And that was the mindset they had. So to free them was not going to help them at that time. They stayed in the wilderness for 40 years. They needed two generations. It goes on to say, hundreds of years of slavery had erased any sense of personal responsibility, self determination, and ethics. Slaves are not educated and are denied the privilege of making decisions, determinations, and discernments. Thinking is disallowed. A slave must take orders only. The wisdom and greatness of their ancestors mattered little because the continuity of the forefathers had been virtually lost. Moses had a giant cultural problem on his hands, as well as a massive responsibility for restoring the integrity of his people. Moses took the extra steps to restore these people on a lasting foundation, which included respect, dedication, and discipline as the pillars of sustainable reality. Wow. So when you look at it this way, and we can apply this to really our lives today, right? So if we want to be here, right? We want to reach this level of success. We want to um, be leading on this level. We want to overcome these obstacles. We want to be here. But if our mindset is here and we are stuck in the slave mentality, if we are stuck in not thinking for ourselves, if we are stuck living other people's beliefs, if we are stuck in not being able to be authentic, if we are stuck and not being able to think for ourselves or being scared to think for ourselves, if we are stuck in this life where we cannot live and be authentically who we are, we can't get here. This is where the people were. This is where they were in the wilderness. They were there for 40 years. And Moses said, "You've got to stay in this place because you've got to go from here to here. And you can't go to the promised land if you're still stuck down here with this slave mentality. You've got to wean this out through the generations." He wanted a whole new generation that knew nothing about this type of thinking. He wanted to wipe out that slate, that clean slate. He wanted people to go into the promised land without all of that baggage, without all of that pre-programmed mindset that didn't belong to them, that wasn't theirs, that wasn't allowing them to be able to lead and to be able to cross over into what God has for them. And that's a word for somebody today. And I was so excited when I read this today because I just think of so many people, including myself once upon a time, that was just stuck in having to be a certain way for certain people, having to be accepted by people, and having that mean so much that you're willing to sacrifice who you are and what you truly believe in, being scared to stand up for what you believe in and to cancel out those beliefs that were instilled in you as a child. Some of those beliefs may be good depending on how you were raised, but myself personally, my grandmother, my parents, they have beliefs that no longer serve me sometimes, and that's okay. It's okay to disagree. I'm still respectful of my parents. I'm still respectful of the life that they lived and what brought them to believe in the things that they believed in, but some of those things no longer serve me, and I can't be authentically who I am, still living with someone else's beliefs. And actually, on the next page, he actually goes on to say that he says division is characterized by its resistance to growth and by its use of judgment and conflict to retard the power of unity. So basically, division is what divides everyone. Unity and love is what brings us together. And unity doesn't mean that we all have to think the same. Unity doesn't mean that we all have to have the same perspective on everything. Unity just means that we love. We love in spite of. We still have a mutual respect for. We still love each other in spite of. We can agree to disagree, but we can do that in love. We don't have to be divided because our views are different. But I love this so much, because if you think of the place that you are in right now, perhaps God is saying, you have a slave mentality. You are not able to reach what I have for you up here because your thinking is still controlled and still limited and still inauthentic. And your thinking is down here. And I can't give you what I have for you up here because you're not ready for it. God says you have to stay in this place for however many years it takes, however long it takes, because he has to wipe that out of you. He has to reprogram you. And by the reprogramming, it means that you're going to have to go through some difficulties. You're going to have to go through some hard times. You're going to have hardships. You're going to have conflict. You're going to have things that don't feel good. You are going to have to go through these things because God has to reprogram you. He wants you to be free. He wants your mind to be free. He wants you to be authentic. He wants you to live as He would have you to live so that you can be where He would have you to be. And that just makes me so excited today. Like, I am just like filled with joy, thinking about how this can free someone today. If you think on these words and think on these things and begin to change your perspective of what is going on in your life, you are going to be able to change the trajectory of your life. God already has this vision for you. God already has this plan and purpose for you. And it's up here and it's waiting for you. But He needs you to get through all of the stuff. He needs you to get out of the slavery mindset. He needs you to get out of the limited beliefs. He needs you to get out of worrying about who you need to be for others. He needs you to get out of this feeling that you've got to be perfect, that you've got to have it all together, that you need to be accepted, that you need affirmation from other people, and that you need to be affirmed, and that you don't need any of that. You just need to walk in your truth. You need to be who you are. You need to live your beliefs for yourself. You need to love. You need to respect others. And God says, I'm going to take you to this promised land. I'm going to bring you out of this wilderness that you are in, and I'm going to bring you to this promised land because this is what I have for you. This is what I want for you. And this is where you are called to be. But I can't give it to you yet because you're not ready. You're not ready. So I want you to get ready though, because it's going to be amazing. And I want us to all be there together. But it starts with just letting go of just stuff. Let all that stuff go. Any baggage, anything that you've been carrying from childhood into adulthood, all of these things, all of this stuff, this baggage, this stuff that's just weighing you down, let it go. Let it go so that you can reach this promised land that God has for you. And that promised land can look like whatever it looks like for you in your life. And my life promised land right now just looks like living. It looks like enjoying life. It looks like being free of what other people think. It looks like being free of pressures of having to live a certain way and believe a certain way and to love a certain way and letting all of that go. And that's not something that happened overnight. It's something that took time, but it started little by little by releasing, letting it go, realizing what are my beliefs and what are not my beliefs, understanding mindsets and how your thoughts determine your actions and your actions determine your habits and what you ultimately end up doing or not doing. All of that is going to contribute to your success and where you ultimately end up. So, my prayer for you today is that you get out of this wilderness, that you begin to understand why you may be in this place and why it might be important for you to be in this place right now so that you can get to this promised land and this place that God has for you. So, I pray that you. Just really take this with you today and that you understand that there is a plan and that there's a purpose for your life. And I talk about purpose so often, but it's so true because when you begin to walk in that purpose and understand what your purpose is, your life completely changes. Everything you do now has meaning. You're now excited. You don't need anybody to get you out of bed in the morning. You don't need anybody to motivate you. You don't need anybody to, to stay on top of you to do things. You're going to do it because you know that you have plan and purpose for your life. And every single one of you have a plan and purpose for your life. And I want you to find it and to live it, because there's nothing like it. Everything will change for you. So get out of the wilderness, or at least understand why you're in the wilderness so that you can get to the promised land. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time.